Welcome back. It's Saturday morning. It's 8 a.m. It's time to go low right here on the Big 8 in Tampa. We appreciate you guys tuning in to the Let's Go Low show hosted by Jeff Stanislow from Golfers Unite. And as always, our guest and host of the Caddie's Corner with me on the Let's Go Low show is our friend Mike Hicks, Payne Stewart's former caddy. How you doing this morning, Mike?
Doing fine, Jeff. Doing fine. I hope you had a great Father's Day.
I did. It was one of those days that, lined up perfectly. Had, breakfast. The kids made it. Played a little sim golf with my son. I got to sit down and watch the U.S. Open and had some steaks for dinner. So it was a fantastic Sunday on Father's Day this year. How was yours?
That was great. I actually had to work in the shop for, 4 or 5 hours, and got home and I had to grill the burgers. Had a couple of my kids over and a couple of the grandkids. So it was a great afternoon.
Yeah, it was very special. I did the grilling of the steaks myself. That's kind of my thing. So we all know that there. So Mike, anyways, on top of a great Sunday, we had a great finish to the U.S. Open. Everybody went in there. Wyndham Clark with a 6-stroke lead on Sunday morning. Probably maybe checked out a little bit of watching in and tuning in, thinking he was just going to run away with it. What are your thoughts on the U.S. Open finish and how Wyndham Clark did?
Well, Sam Burns, got off to a good start. Got with eventually got with him one, which that had to happen to put a little heat on Wyndham. Because when you got a 6-shot lead in any golf tournament, you're expected to win. So that added pressure, and then you put on top of it, it's a U.S. Open. He had all kinds of things working against him, but he was 4 under, and Burns was 3. Wyndham's playing the 10th hole, hits driver, which nobody was doing because, I've been there a few times, and, you're trying to give yourself a shot that you can spin. He's got 60 yards up that hill, and I'm like, man, this is too close. How's he going to spin this? And he actually spins the ball back, which Bones was dumbfounded also. Former caddy for Phil Mickelson, now doing TV. But as a caddy, that shot, you can't spin that shot that much. Not many people anyway. But Wyndham surely did, and that was a huge momentum swing for him, making birdie there and kind of righted the ship. And he ended up hanging in there and pulling it off. So hats off to him.
Yeah. This is Jeff Stanislow. You're listening to Let's Go Low show right here on AM 820 in the greater Tampa Bay area. We're talking with Mike Hicks, Payne Stewart's former caddy, and we're talking about the U.S. Open. This episode is brought to you by golfersunite.com, and it's golfersunite.com. Check it out. Free memberships. You can get access to some great brand deals. Just for $30 for the year, you can get access to 14 more. golfersunite.com. So, Mike, it's Wyndham's second U.S. Open, so now he's getting into some, elite, golf category here. How important it is that he had the first one under his belt when he went out there on Sunday afternoon to, claim his second title, that experience.
Well, it gave him, the self-confidence knowing that he'd done it already. Now, granted, it was a totally different type of venue. Although, I was very surprised on how the USGA set Shinnecock up. Fairways were a lot wider than normal. In LA North, the fairways were huge for a U.S. Open. So, it's a little similar, forgiving fairways. And, Wyndham went into the week playing great. So he had control of his golf ball, and he obviously was confident in his putter. And he proved to everyone how good a scrambler he is. He chipped the ball beautifully. I thought he got very fortunate on the second hole on Sunday with the lie that he caught after hitting that ball way left. But that's what happens. When you win one of those things, you get the breaks. And when you're in the hunt and you don't get those breaks, that's when you don't win. So everything kind of went his way, which is what's got to happen when you win a U.S. Open.
This is Jeff Stanislow, and you're listening to Let's Go Low right here on AM 820. Tune in every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Our special guest, once again, from hosting our Caddie's Corner edition is Mike Hicks, Payne Stewart's former caddy. We're talking about the U.S. Open from last weekend. Mike, when you took a look at, just the jockeying that was going around on Sunday, obviously Wyndham was faltering and Sam Burns was coming on strong. When you're working with your guy on the bag, what are you talking to him about? Words of encouragement? Are you, let's get your ass going type stuff? How are you having your conversation with your guy when all of a sudden that there's someone creeping up and he's not playing his best golf?
Well, listen, you can't control what's going on with the other players. All you can do is control what you're doing. So, and there's no, at that particular point in a U.S. Open, there's no rah, rah, rah going on. You're going to catch in a U.S. Open. The biggest factor is accepting failure and accepting what happens out there. And if you can do that and not let it carry over to the next hole and get refocused on the shot at hand, the better off you're going to be. So, you're not out there, like I said, there's no rah-rah, no, hang in there, we're okay, blah, blah, that type of stuff going on. Because, you're in the lead for a reason. You're in the lead because you're playing better than everybody else. So
yeah,
you've just got to, you've just got to move on if there are mistakes made and refocus. You kept hearing Big Wave Dave tell Wyndham, good process, go through the process over and over and over. And that's what it takes, is repetition, hearing the same thing over and over. With Payne, before he hit every shot in every tournament, I would say get your spot nice and slow. Get your spot, meaning intermediate target, nice and slow, meaning good rhythm off the ball. So, you hear that repetitive voice, and it's, I think it's a calming influence. And it's just a way to get your player refocused.
Yeah, I like that. A lot of times, like you said, the rah-rah and, or, the push isn't necessarily going to work. Now, what works is what got him there. The process. I did hear that about Big Wave Dave, just like, okay, you got the process down, now execute. It's like you said, pick your spot, get your tempo, do the things that have been working and lock those in. And then when you do have a falter, don't carry it along. This is Jeff Stanislow. You're listening to Let's Go Low right here on AM 820, the Big 8. We're talking with Mike Hicks, Payne Stewart's former caddy, about the U.S. Open. You mentioned rah, 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 and there was some rah, rah, rah going on at the U.S. Open. Several fans had to be escorted out. It seemed like the fan base didn't want Wyndham to win. My question to you was, like, is it more because they had the six-stroke lead and they wanted a competitive match? Or do you think it was a little bit, personal in there? But they were kind of on him, during the round. It was like they wanted to see, a tie or a playoff or him lose. What are your thoughts on that? And how do you handle that as being caddy?
Well, listen, it all stemmed back from what he did at Oakmont last year in the locker room when he missed the cut. So, and in today's world, these social media freaks that come on and just banter and just try to
stir the pot.
I mean, it's awful. And Bob Ford, who is the had at Oakmont even came on and said, "Hey, we've moved on." He has shown remorse. He has done everything we've asked him to do. We have forgiven him. And
Yeah.
in today's society, we don't forgive anymore. And listen, Wyndham, I watched many interviews with Wyndham. Wyndham was very remorseful, answered all the questions. Every day it was brought up. And
Right.
he answered the questions. He was very professional. He's very remorseful. And people have to forgive. Listen, we've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. I mean, give the guy a break. And listen,
Yeah.
the reason that all went down is because where they were. Long Island, New York, Long Island. You go back to Bethpage. Anytime it's on that island, those
It gets
people,
rowdy.
it's rowdy. That's right. They're a rowdy group.
Yeah,
So
100%. This is Mike Hicks, Caddie's Corner, right here on AM 820's Let's Go Low show, hosted by Jeff Stanislaw from Golfers Unite. If you guys haven't checked out Golfers Unite, it's golfersunite.com. Free members get access to 4 great deals, from golf balls to technology to equipment. Paid members only $30 for a year, and you get access to 14 more deals, including a deal with our friend Mike Hicks at MikeHicksGolf.com. If you guys want to check it out, or if you want to interview or talk to Mike a little bit about your game, go to MikeHicks.com, MikeHicksGolf.com, and check him out and reach out and tell him that you heard him on the Let's Go Low show. So, Mike, crowd is rowdy. They're excited. They're fired up. But I think you do bring a good point across, and that the media world today, whether it's social media or traditional media or whatever, it's like they want to, get the clicks. They want to get the eyeballs. And so they keep on coming and beating the same old drum. And, hopefully with Wyndham winning that thing, winning his second Open, and just, silencing the critics, as they say, hopefully that can all get put behind him, because I feel like he was generally remorseful and he made a mistake, and I think we should accept it and move on too. As we pivot here, Mike, what was one of the things in the U.S. Open that absolutely blew you away, shocked you, like a player that just played terrible, or something at the venue that surprised you?
I get it. They hit the forecast. They knew what was coming with heavy winds and whatnot. And kudos to the USGA. Now, 20 years ago, those greens, they may have slowed them down to 12, but never down to 10, right? I mean, they would have just sucked it up, and the ball might have been rolling around on the green, and they had to suspend play. So be it. We'll finish Monday, whatever.
Right.
They've always been a stickler about you're going to play. You're going to play in the weather. You're going to play. They were just real hard people back in the day. Now they've softened them quite a bit, the USGA. So the widths of the fairways were surprising to me, and the speeds of the greens. Now, if you watched, and then the people that are listening, I'm sure most of you watched, and the TV doesn't do it justice. What those greens are absolutely asinine. The spots that you have on the greens to land your ball and keep it semi-puttable are very small. Now, when you get 25, 30 mile an hour winds, they're impossible. So his 36 hole score is absolutely phenomenal. What he did for 36 holes, Wyndham Clark, unbelievable with that type of wind. Now, granted, with the greens been faster, no way. Nobody's under par. There's no way anybody's breaking par if the green speeds were what they normally are at that venue. So, but my biggest surprise was the setup, and kudos to the USGA. They got it right. I mean, it was a great tournament. I don't know how many people finished under par. What, 3?
Yeah. Yep. Burns, Tom Kim, and Wyndham. This is Jeff Stanislaw. You're listening to Let's Go Low here. Mike is going to come back with us for part 2 of the Caddy's Corner because we have so much to talk about on the Let's Go Low show about the U.S. Open. We're going to talk about some carnage that did happen. We're going to talk about the fan base. We'll talk a little bit about the business behind the U.S. Open, the merch and the amount of revenues and stuff like that driven. Mike, in closing, quick, which player surprised you the most that didn't make the cut?
That didn't make the cut? Patrick Cantlay.
Yeah, I like Patty Ice. I was very surprised too. He seems smooth.
Yeah, I mean, it just he obviously didn't putt well, or he probably would have made it. That's really what it boils down to.
And then we're going to pick up on Scotty as well, since it was Scotty's 30th birthday and everybody wanted to get him done out there. This is Jeff Stanislow, and you're listening to another great episode of Let's Go Low. Come right back after the break as we got more right here on the Big 8.